Is there audio now? Hey. All right. My fault on that. Forgot about putting the microphone on this source. That's on me. That's a newbie mistake, but we're getting through it. All right. So welcome to Let's Talk Balls, episode 1. My name's Jordan Hatter, the host. I will have friends, some local people around here that I've known that have grown up and can get into, that have gotten pretty far in professional careers or college careers. A lot of friends on talk baseball, basketball, football, golf, possibly some video games, fantasy football, you kind of name it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to have fun, no rules. Just get mad at sports, get mad at other people's opinions because a lot of other people are wrong about a lot of things and like to get angry. So I want to start off talking about the NBA Finals. And I'm a huge LeBron fan. As you can see up here, LeBron's my guy, being Ohio born and raised. Like, he's my GOAT. That's a different story, different time. We'll get into that later. But I think last night Giannis takes the throne. I think it's Giannis's league. What he did in these finals is incredible. He coming into the league, or coming into the finals off a small injury. Game 1, he was all right, trying to force stuff. Suns take a 2-0 lead, and Milwaukee just doesn't change their thing, and then they throw their elite defenders on their best players, and it just turns everything around. And Giannis going out scoring, I think it was 35 points a game. He had a 40-point double-double, and there's only 2 other people that have done that, Shaq and LeBron. So that's pretty good company. Giannis is the best player in the league, and he can do so much. He's a center that moves like a guard. No, he can't shoot like KD, but he's always available to play. KD's got injury problems. He doesn't play defense like Giannis. He's not built like Giannis. He's just... The Freak is literally the perfect nickname for Giannis because of what he can bring. He doesn't shoot from outside the paint and scores 35 points a game in the NBA Finals. And he just consistently goes to the line. And even though he normally can't shoot free throws, he will still just attack. And he plays 100% literally since the first minute of the game. And you can't teach that. You don't coach that. That just comes with it. And I think and he didn't go to a super team like he said. He talked about it in an interview. He did it the hard way, he says. And that, to me, just makes him the best player in the league now. Like, he's taken over KD or Kawhi Leonard or whoever it may be. Kawhi doesn't stay healthy. He only's going to give you 55 games out of 80 or whatever. Giannis is going to play 70, 80, 82 games. Whoever what the season is, like, he's going to play majority of those games. And just a big props to the Bucks for beating the Suns, coming back 0-2 multiple times in the playoffs. It was an incredible run for Milwaukee, and good job to them. But on the other side, Chris Paul. Chris Paul has become a top 5 point guard of all time, and winning the title would have definitely locked him into that. And losing it kind of like hurts his chances, but I still think in my mind he's reached that top 5. I think he is number 5. The other 4 ahead of him being Magic, Isaiah Thomas, Steph Curry, and the Big O. I don't want to get into that order right now, but those are the other 4 in my opinion that are above him. But what CP3 did, everywhere he goes, he wins. He's down in New Orleans with him and David West, getting to the playoffs and doing all this stuff. Like, it's literally those 2. Then he tries to get traded to the Lakers. League bans that, and then they're like, here, go to the Clippers. and then he takes them to the playoffs. Bounces around, then he gets traded to the Thunder, and they're trying to tank because they want draft picks. And Chris Paul's like, nah, man, I don't lose basketball games. We're gonna win 50 and make the playoffs, and you guys gonna have an awful draft pick. And then, like he said in his press conference after the end, what was the Western Conference Finals, I think. He said, I'm here for that light-skinned dude over there, and looked at Devin Booker, who is phenomenal offensively and an offensive superstar. Not quite a superstar. We can get into that later. Chris Paul, in my mind, wherever he goes, he wins. He takes people to the next level. He gets the best out of everybody. DeAndre Ayton said he's the best thing to ever happen to him. And he's truly a great point guard, and just didn't have enough once they put Jrue Holiday on him. And then just, at his age, I think he's 36. It was too much for him, and he had a great game 6. Just wasn't enough. But now what does Chris Paul do? I thought if he won, he might stay in Phoenix, because why not? They're gonna offer him a contract. But is it about the money now? Does getting a taste of the finals for Chris Paul get him into that mindset? Like, now I'm just chasing a ring. He's in every other freaking State Farm commercial. Money's not an issue for him, so why not chase a ring? Call your buddy LeBron. Why not? I don't know if the Lakers would want him. I don't know if I'm the Lakers if I want him. But maybe with Dennis Schroeder leaving, or wanting freaking $100 million contract as Dennis Schroeder, which is ridiculous. He's not that good at all. Solid, but pay him 60. He's not worth 100. So if you don't have him, maybe they go for Chris Paul. I don't know. Does Chris Paul want to go up there? I don't know. I did see today that the Lakers are looking to trading for Russell Westbrook. That's crazy to me. Says according to sources, they are looking to hunt a veteran point guard. Chris Paul is on the list. They've also talked about Russell Westbrook as potential candidates in a sign and trade deal that could include Dennis Schroeder and Kyle Kuzma and Talen Horton-Tucker. I like it. Why not? We saw what Anthony Davis is in a regular season. He came into the season with not even on rest. Like, he came in and came in out of weight, came in fat. He tried to play he comes into training to the season and plays himself into shape, and that's probably why he's always hurt. For LeBron and AD to win a title, it took a year where we had a 4-month, 5-month hiatus in the middle, and they got their rest, and then they go to a bubble, and then they're veterans, and they've been there, and they won that title in the bubble. Now, it's not an asterisk in my opinion, but that to me, like, that's clearly what they needed. They need the rest. AD needs the rest. He's always hurt. LeBron, getting older, is getting hurt more often. Now, he was an Iron Man, never got hurt before, but age catches up to you, and now he's getting hurt, and it took that. So why not go for someone like a Chris Paul or a Russell Westbrook? Now, I don't know if Westbrook's the answer either, but you definitely need something. You need another guy to be able to go out there and play defense, score points. AD's going to give you 60 of the 82 games, potentially less. LeBron's going to want to play maybe 70, maybe a little less, depending on if he gets a little, nagging injuries like he had this year. I'm not sure. But the Lakers need something to compete, but they're going to be healthy again next year. The Warriors are going to be healthy again. You get Clay back. What are they going to do with their pick? They're trying to trade their 7th overall pick for stuff. I know they've got some trading pieces, but Steph is too good for this team to be bad. this many years or in a row, and with him and Clay coming back, are they going to trade Draymond? Are they looking look for Ben Simmons? Because him and Draymond are essentially the same player, but the only difference is Ben Simmons will actually, or Draymond will actually shoot an open jumper just to try and test the defense, where Ben Simmons will not. But essentially the same player. Long, solid D, can run the court. You got your two shooters. So we'll see what happens with the Warriors, but they're going to be healthy again. You're getting Jamal Murray back. He's going to be healthy. I know there's some other injuries. The Jazz were pretty much hurt. The Suns aren't going to repeat what they did this year. And who knows what the Clippers are going to do? Trade trade Paul George, maybe go after Damian Lillard. Who knows what that's going to happen? There's been a lot of reports about Dame wanting out of Portland, but he's saying that he hasn't said anything. But if I was Dame, I definitely want to go. If I was the Lakers, I'd be trying for Damian Lillard hard. That he's a top 2 point guard, top 3 point guard in the league right now as it is. So I don't know why he wouldn't go for that. And I just don't see the Suns doing the same thing. So if I was Chris Paul, where do you look into next? Now, I want to transition over to some other sports now. I want to talk about some golf. The Open happened this weekend. Probably my second favorite major, if not one. I think it kind of depends on the time of year. But the Masters and the Open, my opinion, are the best two. I love the link style golf. And Colin Morikawa, for incredible young golfer, taking the tour by storm. And to finish with no bogeys in his final 22 holes, 7 birdies and 15 pars, and that pressure with the fans around, and just his first ever time in the Open. He'd played the week before in the Scottish Open just to play links golf and just to get the feel of it. And I'm not even sure he made the cut that weekend. And Spieth battling up there is great to see for golf. The end of day 3 for Spieth kind of hurt him. He finished bogey. If he finishes par, he gets put in the final grouping. And I know being in the final grouping, you can kind of see what's going on. Everyone's finishing in front of you. You've got the last guy with you. It's a big thing. And on top of that, you put 2 strokes on you give 2 strokes up. Morikawa has won 2 majors in his first try. He won the 2020 PGA Open, and then he won the 2021 Open. And he has 5 tour wins already, and he's only missed 4 cuts. That's just ridiculous. He also has the lowest NCAA scoring average ever, currently, 68 something, and just everyone's always said, like, who's the next Tiger? They said it was Rory, then they said it was Spieth when he came on, and all these other people. Like, no one will be the next Tiger, but Morikawa's got potential to be one of these guys who's in it on the top of the leaderboard, the top of the world rankings, fighting for every major for a long, long time. And that's awesome to see. A U.S. kid who's that good again, just being incredible at a young age. And that led me to Bryson, the guy that no one likes. I don't like him. He's annoying. He's arrogant. Just don't like the guy. I'm sure he's an okay person in real life, but on the course, I freaking hate him. He said that he hate his driver. He said, and Cobra did not take kindly to that. He said, quote unquote, "This driver sucks," talking about the club face, not potentially like, "Oh, this driver sucks," like me personally, I'm hitting a bad driver for the day, like, man, my driver game sucked today, blah blah blah. No, he blamed the actual club. And obviously Cobra didn't like that, nor would I. They had a rep come back, and a reporter got a hold of a old Cobra rep, and this is what the Cobra rep had to say about that. They said, "Everybody is bending over backwards. We've got multiple guys in R&D who are catting this and catting that, trying to get that into the pipeline faster, and Bryson knows it. It's just really, really painful when he says something that stupid." Deschambault is currently using this Cobra Radspeed driver that's 46 inches long and only has a 5-degree loft. You won't find that on any pro shop. It's custom made for him only. The rep also continues to say he has never really been happy, ever. Like, it's very rare when he's happy. Now he's in a place where he's swinging a 5-degree driver with a 200 RPM of ball speed. Everybody's looking for that magic bullet. Well, the magic bullet becomes harder and harder to find the faster you swing and the lower your loft gets. And that was that from the rep. And later, I think he did come back and apologize, but as a rep, like, you have that's got to piss you off, right? Like, as a company, not the rep, but like company, that's got, like, how stupid can you be? Like, I get sponsored by Nike, and then something happens and I just get on, national interview, and I'm like, you know what? This shoe sucks. It's uncomfortable. It's ugly. Blah, blah, blah. Like, that, I won your smartest hour there, Bryson. And that's why everybody hates you. I hope you know that. And then my favorite golfer, Brooks Koepka, his take back was awesome. He had after an interview later, and Brooks Koepka gets on his interview and he's talking about his game, and then he says that I hit my driver great and that I love my driver. Now that's just a classic Brooksy getting back at his kind of rival, whether he wants to admit it or not. Like, he definitely doesn't like the dude. You can tell. So I think anything to get at him is pretty funny. The Open, just in general, is an incredible tournament. And the big names at the end, like Rahm had a good push late. Good to see. People love to see Rahm. People love those big names. It just brings people to the course. Even though people don't like Bryson, people want to see him swing. Like, his practice range, he swings so hard, and like it like nothing else. Like, he swings just as hard as he can and tries to hit the ball as far as he can, and just it's just so where everything he's trying to do is so different, and he's trying to be himself, which I get that. Like, that's cool. But there comes a part where you can't be arrogant, and you can't be the way you are. You can't just be a dick and expect people to, like, want to root for you and all this other stuff. And that's crazy. And I want to talk about Kevin Kisner. Kevin Kisner was I'm not sure if that means he was in last place, but he was the first tee time off on Sunday. Now, there was an odd number of people out there, so but being groups of two, he went out by a solo. He was the first tee time on Sunday morning. Now, a normal golf round, about 4 hours. If you're playing quick, 3.5. If it's a longer tournament like this, I'm looking at 4.5. This man went out with an open course and played his last round in 2.5 hours, 150 minutes. And on top of that, he shot the best round he shot all weekend. He went 34-34 for a 68. Later, Kisner was asked about it, and he said, quote unquote, "This ain't no hobby." That's the best answer you could have gotten from that. Kevin Kisner is truly funny. If you don't follow him on socials or Twitters or something, like, he says a lot of funny things. He's one of those guys who just give you like straight answers. He's like the Popovich of interviews for golf kind of thing. And it's just super funny to listen to him, and what an awesome answer from him. And last thing on the Open, there was a sports bettor who bet $10,000 on Morikawa to win the Open outright. Obviously, Morikawa wins, so he's got a big payday. And this man won $300,000 on Morikawa winning. And to put that into more perspective about things, this guy who bet on Morikawa to win won $300K. He won more money than 70 other golfers who actually played in the event. Like, that's over half the field. Or half the field. Like, this dude, not a golfer, won more money than half of the people who were actually professional golfers by predicting the winner. That's funny to me. And then the last thing I want to talk about today is a little bit of college football. Ohio State starts off in, I think, 42 days. So we're just about a month and a half away. Now, obviously, I'm a huge Buckeye fan. Know anything you can. We'll talk a lot about it come fall and coming up here shortly about all this stuff. But I want to talk about Texas and OU today reportedly trying to move to the SEC. Now, start off by, like, they don't even have an offer to come to the SEC, which you need. But I want to know why. Why move to the SEC? If they're talking about expansion, then of the playoffs, so, like, are you going to 16 teams and then SEC thinks they can get 10 or something in? Like, but if you're OU and Texas, like, if they're expanding it, they're going to give conference championships like a bid, and conference championships maybe a first round bye. Now, moving to the SEC hurts that. Like, you've got Bama, you've got Georgia, you've got LSU, you've got these big schools who have been good in recruiting, who have recently been to the playoffs, and you can barely, Texas still can't get in the playoff, and they're in the Big 12, and they face way inferior competition. And I mean, I guess I get it for OU. They want to play better teams and expand their thing, but why go play Alabama and Auburn and LSU and Georgia and Florida, Tennessee? I mean, Tennessee sucks now, but you get what I'm saying. Like, well, I just don't understand why. It just makes zero sense to me. Like, dominate the league you're in, and you'll get in, and then you have a chance at a title. And Texas A&M wants to be the only Texas team in the SEC, so they're obviously against it. I think you need like 11 of like 14 votes or something like that. I forget the actual numbers. But like, there's already one out, and it just makes no sense to me. Like, Oklahoma's dominated the Big 12, the past decade? I don't remember. Texas hasn't been good since Vince Young. Everyone keeps saying, Texas is back, and then they go and they lose to Kansas or whoever, and then they end up losing 4 games. And they can't even keep their own recruits in right now. Like, I just don't see why going to the SEC would change any of this. And I just think you want to win your division you're in, and going to a harder conference makes no sense to me. But end off with some Ohio State talk because I want to. Brian Day has not named a starter for the quarterback spot. Everyone kind of thinks it's going to be C.J. Stroud, but we're not sure. And they've got most loaded wide receiver class or wide receiver room in college football. Non-debatable whether I'm biased or not. It's not a question. They might be able to lose their top 2 guys and still be potentially the best wide receiver room in football. And then potentially the best offensive line in the country. It's not the best in the country. It's definitely the best in the Big Ten, and it's definitely top 3. There are some other good offensive lines out there, a bunch of returning starters and stuff like that from some other big programs. But a quarterback, that's Ryan Day's. That's Ryan Day's thing. What he did with Dwayne Haskins, and then what he did with Justin Fields. All these quarterbacks that he's picking between the C.J. Stroud. I just drew a blank on the other guys. Harry Miller and Kyle McCord. He handpicked all of these guys. He went out, watched film, picked these guys, and who's going to run his offense. So, they're going to be good. So we're just kind of waiting for that to kick off and see where he takes that. Now, I see them easily running through the Big Ten. Don't really see any pushes there. Penn State, no. That's been their biggest test in the East lately. Michigan's garbage. Jim Harbaugh, who knows what he's thinking. He's probably so happy they canceled the game last year. That was going to be a 60-point game last year. One more game, and I think Ohio State owns the all-time record, which is every Michigan fan's argument over the past 20 years because they've won once in 19 years. You got Wisconsin in the West. Northwestern's been really good in the West. And then that's it right now. Indiana's probably this next best team right now. They bring back their quarterback who threw all over Ohio State last year. But got to give the defensive coordinator, Combs, another year to get under shoes. Shortened season, COVID. Give everybody a pass last year. Everyone deserves a pass with no training camps, all that other stuff. It was hard. But outside of Indiana, no one's going to compete with Ohio State. They're too good. The recruiting class is too good. Just got JT Tuimoloau coming in. Him and Jack Sawyer, 2 freshmen that could potentially play day 1 at defensive line and defensive tackle, somewhere there, interchangeable. Got Travion Henderson at running back, who's an incoming freshman who's unbelievable. He could probably play. You got these 3 freshman quarterbacks or sophomores or redshirt sophomores, something like that. None of them have thrown a pass yet for Ohio State, so we don't know. But as Ryan Day, I trust any quarterback in Ryan Day. And then offensive line, wide receivers, linebackers and secondary, a little worried about, but see what happens with that. But no one's going to beat them. SEC, you've got Alabama. They're probably going to win that again. And if they don't, it's going to be a shocker to me. I don't think LSU or Georgia's going to win it. Could surprise me, but you never know. Big 12, you've got Oklahoma. You could have some surprising teams. Iowa State was good last year. But, that's going to be – Oklahoma's going to win that. ACC is clearly Clemson. There's no one even else in the ACC even worth talking about. Kind of like the Big Ten right now. It's Ohio State and then everybody else. In the ACC, it's Clemson and then everybody else. So that's, that's easy. Pac-12. Who knows? Who knows with the Pac-12? It could be Oregon. It could be Washington. Could be USC. Arizona State made a run last year. It could be anybody. SEC's got some good young guys. They got some good recruits. They kept, I think in one of the rankings, he's the number 1 overall prospect, and they kept him in the state of California. Good for them. It's good for college football if that USC's good. So for the 4 teams that's going to be in this year's playoff, like, it's back to the same 4 that we've pretty much been with. It's going to be Ohio State, Alabama, and Clemson probably. And unless something crazy happens, a team, slips up a week, sleeps down, and sleeps on an opponent, they get upset, and it keeps them out of the playoff. It's happened to Ohio State before when they slept on Iowa and got smacked by like 40. They didn't deserve it that year. But, who's the 4th team? Is it another SEC scheme? Is it Oklahoma? If Oklahoma loses some team that's bad in the Big 12, they're pretty much out because everybody else in the Big 12 is not really good right now. So is it, LSU again? Is it Georgia? Who's it going to be? But that's why I think they need to expand a little bit, because especially with the NIL coming in here, these big schools. I mean, Alabama's Bryce Young. He's thrown 22 passes. And Nick Saban said he's already got $1 million worth of endorsements. Like, these top recruits are just going to keep going to these top schools if they're the only teams playing for championships. It's the top of the recruiting boards. You're going to see the top 20 to 50 people all going to the same 5 schools year in and year out, because they can get them money, they can get them endorsement deals, they can play for national titles. So there needs to be some sort of expansion. I'm not sure what the right approach to the expansion is, personally. I don't know if it's 12 teams and buys. I don't know if it's 16 teams. I don't know if it's 8. I don't know if it's 10. But there needs to be something to help out the other schools balance everything out. Everybody says they want that. Everyone says they like different teams to win. People say they don't like dynasties. Like, oh, I'm tired of the Cavs Warriors. But when it comes to college football, if you're those fan bases, no one's arguing about that. It's the same teams every year. Bama's been in like every playoff but one. And it's been like, what, 9 playoffs, 10 playoffs since this happened, and they've missed one. Like, no one's saying like, oh, we want this, we want that. Like, we just need expansion. So, but I think that's going to be it here on Let's Talk Balls episode 1. Thanks for joining in if you're here. Thanks for listening if you weren't here live. Subscribe, hit the like button, hit the noties if you like it. Starting next week, I'm gonna have some friends come on. We're gonna talk some other stuff. My roommate's a college baseball coach. We'll talk baseball with him. I've got my dad who's a golf coach. We're gonna talk a lot of golf. Some football buddies. So it's gonna get more interesting. Just wanted to kind of lay everything down here. Give my own opinions on some stuff, and we'll have some fun guests in here. We'll have a bunch of debates where it gets more fun. We'll get some live chats in here possibly soon, and we'll get going. So thanks for listening. Have a good one, everybody.